Hi, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Thursday, January 4th, 2018, and you're watching WGAN-TV live at 5. Our guest today is ImmersaCAD. Its company is ImmersaCAD, and the product, the service is called VCAD. And we have ImmersaCAD Chief Technology Officer Jon Huber with us today. Jon, good to see you again. I know we visited a couple times in person in Atlanta. Thanks for joining us today. I think from Tennessee.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, you bet. So today's topic, I almost want to really call this like VCAD for newbies. But why don't you give us an overview and take us through what VCAD is?
Sure. So VCAD itself is a 3D model conversion tool and then distribution tool. So often we find that the CAD model itself, that 3D model, is locked into the architect's hard drive, that computer in that one workstation in that one office. So we're trying to kind of unlock that CAD file and share it with the client on their cell phone in their home. And so once you start having CAD distribution, you start kind of unlocking all kinds of potential for that CAD file. I'd like to show you my website really fast. We kind of talk through a little bit.
Sure. And you said so many things there. I just want to kind of amplify a little bit. I often talk about unbuilt spaces or pre-built spaces, and I think you all use the word of pre-reality spaces. So the first thing is if you're an architect, an engineer, you're in construction, you're a design student, and you're doing anything in CAD, then you have the magic, the secret sauce that takes you from the CAD to enable clients to visualize either through virtual reality, through VR, or through any screen. So I just want to just kind of give you a little bit on that big picture, because I know you're going to do a deep dive of what this means to your different audience.
Absolutely. So see it before you can build it. I mean, so often the construction costs, they're astronomical, and finding a mistake after you've built it is really the worst time to find it. And so if you can walk through a space, if you can see a space and navigate it as if you're there, and that's really where you're going to find the mistakes before you've actually executed on that project. I guess one of the bigger things as well is architecture is one of the best applications, I think, of virtual reality itself. Namely because it's about 3D representation. When you're playing a game, that's fine, but when you can actually see a place in perspective and you can see how far that countertop is from that doorway, or how wide that hallway is, and actually experience it in 3D, that's actually now where you're kind of leveraging what virtual reality is. And with a CAD model, with a 3D model, architects and designers are really making and doing all the hard work. It's just part of the design process. And so with VCAD, we supplement that process by letting you take that same CAD file you're already making and now share it and distribute it using our platform.
Terrific.
So I guess just doing a little bit more of a deep dive, I don't know if you can see my desktop now.
Yes. Okay, we're looking at the VCAD.com website, VCAD.com.
And so really at VCAD.com, we're just trying to introduce people to what we're doing, because we're finding that what we're doing is still very new. We're kind of calling it 3D visualizations. And as you can see on our website, 100% portable. And so you can take it with you on your phone, on your iPad. And we do have a web viewer. We'll show all three of those things today. And we're also cardboard compatible. And so what we're finding is, when we started maybe a year ago, virtual reality was kind of the main experience, and we're finding that it's pretty tough for the common everyday person to really get into virtual reality. And so we're actually creating more and more features on the front end to lead people into VR. And so if they're not comfortable with it, we actually have an experience built into the app that lets people view the house or view the property or the room, but not be overwhelmed by virtual reality. And if they choose to go into VR, we have a button for them to actually push whenever they need it. So just kind of scrolling down on our website, we've really laid out kind of the four different personas of where we think VCAD is actually best suited for. From an architecture standpoint, really that's kind of where we started, and these are day-to-day people that are building these 3D models, and they want to share them with their clients, or wanting to share them with their subcontractors as they're trying to kind of build the space out itself. And that same story really applies to engineering, right? There's a lot of, when you're laying out your mechanical piping, there's a lot of complex interfaces that happen there. And once again, 3D VR is really a great place to take that model you're already making and convert that into our solution, and now let that subcontractor or that contracting service group review the model before they've even quoted it. It's part of the quote process to now begin to go through and understand what it is they're actually trying to build and what interfaces are there. Sometimes in those 2D drawings or even on these 3D pictures, it's hard to figure out what's going on. And so giving people this walkthrough is really kind of the best way to let them examine it from any angle, as if they're actually walking through the building themselves.
Yeah, as you go through this, I think what I'm reminded of is some friends that own a new restaurant, and before it was built, they pulled out the blueprints and were trying to explain to me what the restaurant would look like. And for the life of me, I had no clue trying to understand blueprints. And so what a magical thing that you can take a 3D CAD model and enable people to walk through that experience on a smartphone, tablet, laptop, desktop, virtual reality. It really is quite remarkable.
So that's one of the interesting things I'm finding about what's happening in the design process is architects, engineers, I'm an engineer myself. We are very comfortable looking at 2D drawings. And so we can stare at 2D drawings, see the different line types, and we know exactly what we're looking at, and we can actually make that 2D conversion to 3D conversion in our brain. But so often our clients aren't engineers and they're not architects. They're teachers and lawyers and whatever else. And so this is the first time they've seen a drawing. And so those clients really do need kind of help to actually visualize the space. And often we hear stories of someone that didn't realize what it is they agreed to. They saw it on the drawing, they didn't understand it. And when they saw it in real life, they realized they had signed off on it. And so really what we're trying to do is help solve that problem, help people visualize that aren't savvy at reviewing 2D drawings, and help them kind of see it in the 3D space the way they see the world today. So that's kind of really where we're at on architecture and engineering. It's part of the design process. But really, once you have a CAD conversion tool, that's where real estate kind of comes into play, is all of a sudden there are there are often developers that need to set pre-sale units before they can actually even get the funding to build the building in the first place. So how do you pre-sell something and get people interested in your apartment or office complex, or what is it? So that's really where, once again, this CAD conversion visualization tool comes in handy for real estate developers. Is now they're able to put up a walkthrough on their website, put it into an app, and now actually walk through these spaces and find out if there's actually customers for this development they're trying to put in place. So really, and then you get into students, and students is actually one of the places where we've really gained a lot of traction. Students, they're early adopting technologies in general, and we're finding that really as individuals are learning 3D CAD, they're learning Revit or SketchUp, they also have the energy to start uploading their CAD files and being able to just see their project in virtual reality easily with what we're doing. We're finding that there's a lot of excitement around just being able to upload a file and then see it on their phone. At the same time, what we're seeing is we want now these students that are learning at universities actually to take it with them. And one of our goals is to have students actually take their design portfolio and share it with potential employers using the VCAD app. So now they're going to be able to.
How exciting is that? Yeah.
Yeah. And so now they're going to be the first to try it. So they're going to be able to go to an employer and say, and we'll show you how to share, today in the demo of how to share files, and they can actually go to their employer or potential employer. Here's my senior design project. Here's this other project we were working on, and they can now see their project, see it, and share it in a way that really isn't possible by traditional means.
I could even imagine a potential employer not even focusing on what it is that they designed, just how they presented their design to say, we need you to help bring us into the next generation of client presentations.
Yeah, and so we just for the audience out there, I mean, that may not know, I mean, anyone with a .edu, an educational email address, will get a free professional account of VCAD. And so we really are trying to embrace students that are wanting to kind of learn this technology and utilize our software, utilize our platform. And so any student out there listening now, if you sign up at VCAD.com, you will have a full featured professional license to really kick the tires on and to explore kind of what you can do with this new medium.
That's awesome.
So I guess this is, once again, we're just kind of walking through the website. Those are the personas. So the 3D fly through, once again, we really are trying to break this, as you can see on the screen here, a two-dimensional mode. And so what we have found so often is in virtual reality, you're suddenly immersed with the building around you. And very few people actually want to look behind them. They want to sit on their couch with the TV in front of them and actually go through their property on their screen on the lap, much like this picture here. And so virtual reality is the second step for this individual, right? It's actually just a walkthrough of the apartment. And then when they're ready, they can hit really two buttons and they're in virtual reality. So if they want to use what's going on the right side picture here, they want to use that cardboard headset. Once again, in two button presses, we're helping them do that. And once again, pre-reality, we are very big into seeing it before it's built. We want you to experience that building or that design in all ways possible prior to you building it. And we feel like VCAD is the best way to do that. That's really the product in general. I mean, we're gonna go into the actual demo. Is there anything in particular you're looking for, Dan, beyond this?
Let's jump into the demo. I'll have plenty of questions for you, but I think let's get to see how VCAD works.
Sure. So I'm going to start with really just how to upload a file. It's pretty straightforward, and I'm going to start inside of SketchUp for this. And so this is just a little tiny home. It can be anything you want. We just picked this because we're going to actually do this conversion during the show today. And so this we'll have this file for you to look through within the time frame of the show here. And so one of the bigger things, we can actually upload SketchUp files and Revit files directly, but I'd like to show an export to an FBX because we do see some. Just kind of want to do a walkthrough that's a little bit more complicated. So since we have a video here, just kind of do it a little bit more complicated. So inside of SketchUp, really you just do a file and you do an export of a 3D model. And you just need to name what your house is going to be. And there's some options here, and all CAD programs, whether you're using Live Home 3D, Revit, whatever it is, they've all got options in them. And you just kind of want to make sure, the biggest thing is that you're mindful of the units. When you're uploading an FBX file, the units are stored inside of this file. And so you must remember what you've picked. If it's just a SketchUp or a Revit, we do that automatically. But we're going to pick meters. And we say, OK. And so we're just going to export. I think I've already got one here, but I'm going to override it anyways. And so in your CAD program, if you're using 3D CAD, any of these kind of mainstream or programs, and there's a way to export out in FBX. We support, many formats. We'll go through those on the website here in a second. But there's the export. The next thing we need to do is actually zip up those files. Oops, I'm going to export again. I think I exported it to the wrong folder. I'm going to do another export real fast. Oh, I'm on D drive. That's why. Sorry, guys. I'll just make a SketchUp folder. We'll export it again. All right, sorry for that, but now we've got that covered. So we're going to go to that. Sorry guys, so I unloaded them to a folder. So in my folder, I've got two things that were exported. I've got the FBX file itself, which contains the geometry. And then I've got this folder, which actually contains all my textures. So all of these textures were in this main SketchUp file, and they're going to actually translate into the VCAD solution as well. So what I do need to do is just zip them together. So I'm going to send it to a zip file, and it can be named anything. We'll call it We Get Around Network Demo, just to name it something that we can recognize. And now we're going to go to really the upload portion of our website. And so I've got a Zoom text window here. Can you see myself on the camera here? I'm going to move it out.
Yes. Yeah, we can see your mouse. You were just going over the VCAD logo in the top left.
So we're in the main VCAD web page here, and we've got a few sections of headers here. So I'll just walk through it really fast. We've got this gallery page, and the gallery itself is just full of examples that have been uploaded by not just us, but other VCAD clients who are trying to share their CAD models. And we've kind of placed them all in some folders, based on what we think is important to different groups. And so, we're gonna. So the gallery stores all these models. Inbox stores things that are shared. Favorites are things you favorited, and projects are things that we've uploaded. So as you can tell here now, we've not really uploaded any files. And so I'm going to upload a file to this account. And the first thing it wants to know is, what kind of file am I uploading? And so you can see here we have a wide range of selections.
In fact, why don't we mention what those files are? A little bit hard to read. You want to read those off?
Sure.
Files?
So there's Revit, there's SketchUp, there's STL, which is just a neutral CAD file, a DAE file, DAE file, OBJ, FBX, and then there's an FBX tilt brush. Tilt brush is a virtual reality painting app for the Vive. And so you can actually upload tilt brush files if there's some artists out there doing that today. And then we can actually change the outside image. So you can actually upload an image that if you want to change what's surrounding your file itself. So we chose FBX. And I'll make this a little bit bigger. Does that kind of help if you can see a little bit bigger?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. So with an FBX, there are a lot of options. I will show you that if you pick the Revit file, all of these options are already chosen for you. They're selected already. And the same is true if we just wanted to upload a SketchUp file. All these options are really just already done. But I wanted to pick FBX. It's a little bit more complicated, and I just wanted to show it off a little bit. So the first thing is, what was our model units? So this is a little bit of a quiz. If you remember back to the SketchUp, right? It's very important here that if we chose meters in SketchUp, so we're going to choose meters here. And I actually chose Y up as well. And so I'm going to hit browse, and I'm going to find my SketchUp file. And I'm going to go to desktop again, SketchUp, and here's my We Get Around demo zip file that we had made. So I'm going to hit OK there. And really at that point, you just hit continue. I'll zoom out a little bit again. And so this is just the upload process. And now the conversion is happening. So there's really about 5 steps that occur on the cloud itself. So you can see I'm going to get an update here as the Immersifier itself is coming online. But in the meantime, I can actually do things like change the title. It automatically made it the file name, but I can just call it We Get Around, and I'll just change the name of it a little bit. I can add a description like, this is the file. Oops, can't type very well today. This is the file uploaded during the demo. And we're going to see that all this information is going to be carried with the file as we carry forward. And there's some interesting options here on Sky Sphere. What do we want surrounding the model? I'm going to choose just a value. We can add anything we want. Public. So as we want to get into sharing, we're going to talk about public or not. It's actually possible to share this for everybody without any protection at all. Or if it's a proprietary design, you want to may want to keep it private. And then I've got some advanced features here on notes and hiding notes. We'll get into notes. Most users don't have this feature turned on. I have all the options. And we can change the thumbnail itself. And so I have a little thumbnail that I've made. So now this thumbnail will carry with the design. And as we're now looking at the design, this now shows us what we've made. So I'm going to save my changes. And you can see actually we're almost done now the process. But if I go back to projects, you can see now that this model is now waiting on me, and it's got the new name associated with it, and we're still it's still processing. So I thought while it's processing, we'll just do a quick little walkthrough of what a normal experience looks like. So this is kind of what now a converted file will look like after it loads. And we can do the same it'll warp you kind of to an initial spot that we select. And now we're able to just kind of walk around the model. I'm using the arrow keys here.
And I should point out that this VCAD is really silky smooth doing this, but because WGAN-TV Live at 5 uses an interactive platform, there is some latency as John demos, but not when you're doing it in person or the other ways that you'll show sharing.
Yeah, I think you actually then you can go to our website, you can go to the gallery, and you can actually experience any of these models yourself on our website at VCAD.com, or you can download our app on the Google or the Apple stores, and you can actually walk through these models yourself, and you can see the frame rate for yourself. And
the app is called VCAD, V as in Victor, CAD, and there are some other things that have similar spelling. You're just looking for the one that says VCAD, and if you look at John's screen on the bottom right, you see what the icon, that'll help clue you in that you found the ImmersaCAD VCAD app, and the app is free.
The app is free. Really, it's the upload service is really what we're charging for. Sharing is really free within the app as well. Once you have that service account, we're not keeping up with individual shares, tokens, or things like that. Just really, it's all about uploading and sharing. So once you have this model uploaded, right now, all of a sudden, we're able to actually walk through this continuously, and that's one of the things that separates us from, say, like a Matterport scan as well. Is we are a completely continuous travel. And I'm showing today, or right now, the web viewer. We're going to show the app viewer here in a little bit after I go through some features.
I know when I do this, that it is silky smooth, and it's not like you're going from where one 360 was shot to another 360, and there's some leap of transition. This literally is a silky smooth transition as you walk through a space.
Yeah, and we're actually able to kind of go upstairs, and so I don't think it's something that you're able to do really smooth. And I'm using the arrow keys. If you're wondering what I'm doing on my end, I'm using a left click to turn and look around, and then I'm also using arrow keys to push forward. I can also double tap and push forward and move forward as well. And so there are numerous ways to navigate. We kind of lay them all out here at the bottom, so that you can keep up with whatever way is more comfortable for you. We support. And so one of the first things that we're going to do is we can actually lay these models out. We're always looking at ways of kind of adding content on top of the CAD file that you've already uploaded. And so this CAD file was uploaded through the same process, but then we've done something called add a note to it. And notes are pretty important. You can see I just clicked on this little note. It's floating in the middle of the room. If you're sharing, if you're from that real estate developer or from that construction angle, if you're trying to share a comment to something, from a real estate angle, I would want to know, hey, this is the family room. How big is it? Maybe a nice little glamour shot of what's going on in the picture. And so this actually gives you the opportunity to have a list of all the different rooms, similar to what a Matterport's doing, have a list of all the different rooms themselves, and actually, instead of navigating, warp to those locations. I just warped right across the room. But you can actually warp around and make comments as well. So from like a change order standpoint, if somebody said, this is the wrong color, this room is the wrong color, So now if somebody were to post this, if you were a client of an architect, now all of a sudden I've made that comment. This room is the wrong color. So now I've actually informed my architect who's going to come back into this model. Now we're kind of creating a change order. So now me, the client, can tell my architect what things I'm seeing right and wrong with the room that I'm walking through. Some other things that we've kind of added here as well is we've added a measure tool. And so now if you want to know kind of how big a space is, you can actually come through and pick, and you kind of get now the length, you know, red being X, what the distance is between spaces. Once again, if you're trying to figure out that clearance between two things, how big that wall is, how big the window is, we're letting that measure tool, you know, kind of let you not have to guess anymore, right? You're not just looking around. You're actually going to be able to see what's going on there. And then the next thing is really just screen share itself. But first I want to check on my upload. Let's take a look at that. So my upload itself is now done. And if I were to click on my card, I can see that here's my title, here's my description, here's all that good information that I put in. And now I want to share it with you, Dan. So now that my model is done, I can share this model, and I can share it via a link. Once I've made it public, I can actually share this link with you so that anyone that clicks on this link can view this model. At the same time, if you have your own website, you may want to embed it. And so now anybody that you know has their own website for your own real estate project, you can actually take this line of code and drop it into your own HTML page, and you can share it that way. But really, we just want to share it with email. So I think your email is it?
I'll give you my longer one. DANSMIGROD at, and then all solid, WeGetAroundNetwork.com.
All right, and so now I'm going to send this model to you. I can put a message in there if I want, but now I've sent a link to yourself, and so now you can see that, you know, I now see that I've shared it with you, and I can actually tell that you haven't opened the model yet. So from an architect point of view or from an engineer point of view, if I've shared this model with you, I can now look at it and say, well, they haven't looked at it yet. Then actually this also, I don't think this account's in our system yet. I think you do have a...
Oh, I'm sorry. I gave you a different email address than what's in your system.
It'll work just fine, Dan. It's okay. It should still come to you, and you should still be able to open that link up.
Yes, but I do need to set up a free account under that email address. So I use different email addresses for different things. So, but I was playing with it earlier, looking at some of the public models, and it's just silky smooth. I personally, I just happen to like the VR piece because you just press the button and you start walking through the space, and you look in the direction you want. So I was using my iPhone 8 Plus earlier to look at VCAD, and it's terrific.
Sure. So how about I'll get off of, the web viewer is really the least exciting part of our product, I think, as a CTO at least. So I really do want to showcase the app itself.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to turn on an AirPlay mirroring here. And I'm going to, basically broadcast what's going on in the app. I'm going to showcase the app. So this is actually a different model that we're working on. So for us personally, we actually have run into now where there's a lot of folks out there really with 2D CAD models. They still don't have that 3D model. They're working in the 2D space. They're working in AutoCAD. Sorry about that. So they're working in AutoCAD. And so what we're doing is actually helping folks with 2D model or 2D CAD files actually convert those to 3D. But we're doing that really as a service to kind of help people out a little bit.
So we're actually looking at VCAD presented on a smartphone or a tablet right now.
That's correct. So I'm on, let's see if you can see me here. I'm on basically now this is an iPhone 6. And as you can see, as I'm moving my finger across the screen, I'm kind of changing the view.
Yeah.
And so there's some other things that we're doing here from a sharing standpoint. And so behind me, I don't know, can you see my...
Maybe if you take it off screen share for a bit, we can see just a little bit of what's behind you.
All right, so
We
let me
may
do
need to
that.
toggle back and forth a little bit. Yeah.
All right, so one of the things that we're also doing, and I'll show a briefing on this in a second, but one of the things that we're doing is really tying together devices as well. And so what we have here is we have one of those web viewers itself, we have an iPad here, and then we have what's on an iPhone here. And this iPhone itself is actually driving these other two screens. So as I'm moving the screen, I'm actually able to change all these views simultaneously. And while I'm just sitting here locally with all these things, we really just need the internet to do this. And so if you're talking with a client in a different country, talking with a client across town, you can actually have an interactive discussion with them, showcase the property, while also kind of giving it, going through it and driving. So you're guaranteeing what it is they're seeing. And now you can actually have, just like we're having now, an interactive discussion. But this could actually be your screen in front of you right now, where you could actually pull up this web viewer or on your phone itself. And now we're linked and we're seeing the same things at the same time. And so, really, really, as you can just say, as I'm moving the screen here, it's moving around. And to do that, I'm gonna share desktops again to show you how we did this. Let me see here. You said earlier you had a lot of windows open. I think I also had.
Yeah, I can imagine. If you're just tuning in, you're watching WGAN-TV live at 5. Today is Thursday, January 4th, 2018. Our guest today is ImmersaCAD CTO Jon Huber. The product is VCAD, and we're getting an amazing demo of VCAD on smartphones, tablets, laptops, desktops, and remote demos, and even in virtual reality.
All right. So what we did there was we actually set up a screen share. I clicked on the monitor, kind of the monitor button, one up from the gear. You can't see where I'm clicking. I'm sorry. But you can see here that we've got a screen. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger for you guys.
Okay, we can see you clicking.
All right, and so we've got a couple options here, broadcast or join. And so the screens behind me were joining. But myself, I was broadcasting. So all you have to do is actually type in the room name, and then you click on the broadcast button, and now these two devices are linked. The other devices would join. And now you're actually able to create this interactive discussion. So we could actually, if you have the updated app on your phone, you could actually join this discussion as well.
Okay, I'm going to go to my VCAD app. Oh, hit the wrong button.
And I'll just make sure from your end, you did update the app. We had an update come out yesterday. So
yeah, I think I'm current. We'll hope for the best here. Okay, where would you like me to go?
Actually, just open up any model in the gallery. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you just join any model, and then it's going to automatically sync once you type in the right room name.
Okay. And I'm looking at, I'm outside of a house.
Okay. That's fine. Just click on the VCAD logo.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not signed in. Oh, no, I am signed in. I'm signed in under Dan at we-get-around.com.
Yes, so we're in a public model, so the accounts themselves, signing in really only matters if you're trying to share something private. If that's something you don't want everybody to see. These models are public.
I'm at the main menu.
Yeah, so just click on just enter any of those models. It's okay.
Okay. Full screen. Loading. Almost done.
Yeah, I may have to download. Yeah, so now click on the bottom VCAD logo.
Yep.
And click on, oh, you're not updated.
No.
I'm sorry, Dan.
Okay. You know, I thought I did all my apps updated, but I guess not. So
It's okay. I'll run the demo from here, and
okay,
thanks for trying. Sorry that.
that's okay.
Um, and so I guess one of the things to show as well, I'm going to go is virtual reality mode, right? That's one thing we
Okay.
talked about from the beginning.
Yep.
And so what you can see here is that I really quickly am now in VR mode, and we actually have a patent pending design on one-touch navigation, which we think is really the simplest form of navigation inside of virtual reality. All you need to do is look at where you're going, and then you touch either the button on the cardboard, or if you just touch the screen itself, you get on the camera, or touch the screen itself, you'll just start moving that direction. One of the best things, I'm going to go off the screen share for a second. If you can see the screen behind me, one of the best things about what we're doing with screen share is really we have somebody that's got a VR headset on. You can't ever really see what's going on inside that headset. Where are they in the model? Even if they're in the same room.
No, you have a train. Of course, there's a train.
we are very close to a train track here. So yeah, we're wondering what would happen when one went through. So that was pretty short actually. But really, when this phone is boxed and you have a user, even in a conference room, you could be sitting next to this user, and you don't always know what it is they're seeing. So with screen share mode, you actually have this on the projector in the conference room, and now you've got really what's going on inside. Hopefully you're seeing this, as I'm moving around and spinning around, we can actually see what's happening in the background. So you actually can be inside the head without tethers. The Vive can do it, but the Vive needs to be plugged in.
And I want to say you can do that with the VR. If you're in Athens, Georgia, or Athens, Greece, that you have the internet connecting the two of you, so you can see what's in the virtual reality experience. Me in Athens, Greece, that's where I want to be, and maybe you're in Athens, Georgia, or something, or Tennessee, whatever. But you can actually see exactly what I'm looking at. So when I start telling you, oh, gee, I think the counter's not quite so high, it needs to be a little higher, the frame needs to be a little bit bigger, that we can have an interactive conversation that feels very natural.
That's right. And the phone is still a phone while you're inside the VCAD app. So if you did want to be on a phone call at the same time, you can still do that. So you could have this, using your phone both as its virtual reality viewer and having that kind of dialogue at the same time. So, you could have me, the client, sitting here going through the project in virtual reality, and you, the designer, could be anywhere else in the world. I think Athens, Tennessee to Athens, Georgia is probably the least exciting of all the Athens remote links we could do. Maybe Athens, Georgia is pretty excited right now, but that's a different story altogether. But you can actually now kind of blend these two experiences together, and you can now see what's going on, inside the headset. And once again, if somebody were to click on this VR button and they weren't happy, really within just a few seconds, they're back out of VR, and they can experience it for as long as they want it, and then they can get out of it when they want to. They can be in it as long as they need to be in it. That's really one of the things that we're really driving to. Kind of meeting these clients, assuming they're new to VR, because I think a lot of people, that's the right assumption, is they're so new to VR. We're trying to meet them, right where we can, which is, right non-VR with that push button right in front of them. So that's really, the extent of VCAD itself. It's really as simple as an upload tool, and it's a sharing and a collaboration and visualization tool. So once you've kind of uploaded these files, they're there on the cloud forever. You share them with your team, you share them with your contractors, you share them with your designs, your clients, and now they're kind of there in the cloud to be viewed. I do want to kind of go back to some slides really fast. Let me go back to the desktop here. All right, let me turn this off. All right, can you see a presentation here? So I got 2 thumbs up, so that must be good. So really, ImmersaCAD is the company. VCAD is what we're trying to make is a 3D model sharing for design professionals. You are a CAD person. You do 3D modeling day to day, and you're trying to share those models with, in a professional sense with your design team or with your clients. One of the things we're trying to do is actually, we're going to talk about next is a little bit of this home designer, which is something in alpha today, but it's moved along well enough that we're pretty excited about it. Wanted to kind of take this opportunity to talk about it with you. And it's really more of a white labeled opportunity for real estate developers to showcase different options within a certain project or within that development itself. One of the things that we're seeing with 3D models is really this comparison to 360 photos or Matterport scans. I'd actually like to have a little discussion with you on where Matterport's at, or 3D models or 360 scans themselves. We kind of find that the scale of staging actually kind of lends itself to CAD. We can make changes in 3D models really very quickly versus having to kind of re-walk through a house, or if you have to paint the house a different color or restage it with different furniture. Once again, we feel like with just one iteration with what we're talking about here with the hours involved, there's roughly a $1,600 savings. And once you have 2 iterations, 3 iterations, 100 iterations, really the scale, it starts to really grow in the value of doing this with 360 photos versus 3D models. Anything you want to push back on that? I mean, is that?
Well, I have so much to say, but before I start asking you questions and chatting, I don't want to interrupt your presentation. So if you wanted to keep going on this direction, that's fine.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. I think it's a good closeout. I'd be curious to know how you. Okay. And so we talked about the VCAD platform itself, right? Where if you have a 3D model, really we showed a pretty simple process to upload it. You can view it very easily. You can view it, in that web viewer. If you don't have a Android or iPhone, you can view it on the app itself. We can share it through email. You actually post a link on Twitter. You can post a link on Facebook. There's lots of ways to bring people to that app. You can share privately. You can share publicly. We do actually see that a lot where we've had discussions where people are afraid to share their, is it out there for everybody? It's only out there for everybody if you chose to bring it out there for everybody. And then Notes itself, once again, is really the beginning of changing that CAD after the fact. The next thing we're seeing here, and we'll talk about is, we showed it a little bit, is we have a lot of folks that have 2D CAD files, but they need that 3D model. And that's really what we're seeing as a little bit of VCAD service. So I'll go back to that slide in a second. So really, we don't care how you get that 3D file. If you don't have that 3D model, anybody can create this model. Anybody can upload it. Anybody can do it. We're just finding right now that we're having to help people, and we're happy to do that. Provide that service for people that want to see their 2D project converted to 3D. And one of the things we're seeing beyond that is we're going to be able to now plug the models that we're making into this home designer app that we're building. And so let me showcase. We're really excited about this home designer app. Let me pull it up onto the screen for everyone to see. I think I've got it. Let me turn off this presentation. Great. So let me just hide this so you don't see anything but what's going on. So one of the first things you see here is this looks very much like the same VCAD interface that you saw, but we've added these buttons to the very top. And what we're doing actually is assuming that folks aren't, let me turn the letterbox here, we're assuming that folks aren't good at navigating in 3D. You start realizing what I was doing on the WebCAD, what I'm doing elsewhere. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you guys. It's not letting me do it. There we go. So what we're doing is we're letting folks, just by pushing, a button, We're letting people, you can still navigate. Now it's really kind of that blend of a point-to-point 360, but still allowing for free travel. I can still travel through here freely. I can still do these things. What we're doing on top of that now is letting people design the space. So I can actually select on objects. I can come over and I'll make something really bright here so that we can see it. So I can actually, as you see, I made that wall red very quickly. So now we're letting people design spaces and now start to kind of live in this house and experience it the way they want to experience it. And basically tell the developer what it is they want. So we're kind of taking now what is just what before for us was a very simple CAD process, and now adding value to that CAD that you're uploading to VCAD, but not letting you augment that CAD. And at the same time, we're also allowing for options to change. And so we've got, say, appliances in this case. You know, what is your decor? I'll highlight that in the back here was, you know, a more darker cabinet or more darker appliance. And now we're actually having the ability to change out, you know, what was back there. And so we're starting to now change materials. You know, what kind of tile did you pick? What kind of flooring did you pick? What kind of paint did you want? And so now we're letting the developer not only pre-sell that apartment, but also know what it is that client is designing. And once again, we feel like we're trying to lead in navigation. So just at a push of a button, I'm able to now travel through this house, and we're making it very easy for that client to now see every room of this house without having to be an expert at navigating on a cell phone.
It's awesome. Now
so this is kind of the next step for us. And we have a list here. Let me pull this.
Do you have a scheduled release date for this yet?
I knew that was coming. So we're working in town in Knoxville. We're working with a few companies now to try to bring it to market for them. And so I would say come March is really when it's going to be public. We're not someone that we're working with closely, but I would say
March 2018.
That's right. We're very close now. I would say today, if you're seeing this and you want to see your project in this engine, I would say, you know, contact Jerry at VCAD.com, contact our salesperson, or contact us through our website. We are really ready now to start looking at more projects of who's interested in this engine.
Okay, and this is called?
Right now we're calling it Home Designer, very vanilla. You know,
designer,
maybe home, or you know, we'll come up with something snazzy. You know, we've talked about, you know, we like to make fun names for things. So, you know, the configurator, you know, many configurations of the same thing. You know, we'll come up with some fun name for it.
Okay.
But right now it is just our Home Designer app. And so we're just kind of at a point now where we think this is now what clients in the real estate market, what real estate developers are going to want for their clients, the pre-planned spaces. And once again, we're just trying to leverage that 3D model and take it from, take it from just being now a simple CAD viewer to now being an interactive experience.
It's amazing.
We're really happy with it. This is something that was in our scope a year ago. It took the CAD conversion engine, a little bit of time to develop, and it was something that I think we've had a lot of people asking us for over and over and over again. And so we're really excited now to bring it to market and start to see now what kind of properties we can help develop and what kind of options are out there for people to see.
Okay, terrific. And is there anything else you want to show us on Home Designer? You want to get back to
that's it on Home Designer. Let's go back to discussing, I guess, through the 360 discussion that I had earlier.
Okay. And
I guess I'll just stop sharing for that, actually.
Yeah, you can come out of that for a moment. And how about we go back to VCAD for a moment, talk about pricing, and then I want to talk a little bit about some observations that I have and ask you some follow-up questions as well.
Okay.
So VCAD, how much?
How much? So you can just simply upload with a personal plan for $15 a month. and that's just letting people upload their own CAD files. There's a 30-day trial if you just want to see if your CAD file converts well. If you would like the screen share option, which is broadcasting to all of these features and private sharing, now we're talking about $50 a month. We feel like it's a little bit more of a professional feature, and a lot of professionals really want to share privately.
So you have two plans, three plans actually, because we talked about education earlier, that if you have a .edu account, you're a student, then you have the I want to say the full business account at no charge. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
And so you have three plans: education. The second one is personal account, $15 a month, and a professional account, VCAD account, which is $50 a month.
That's correct.
And then you all are kind enough to extend a special offer to We Get Around Network Basic, Standard, and Premium members, a savings of 30%. So on the personal plan, instead of $15 a month, it's $10 a month. And on the business plan, instead of being $50 a month, it's $39 a month. That's exclusively for We Get Around Network Basic, Standard, and Premium members. I have a lot of things to talk about and discuss. Was there anything else that you wanted to jump in before I kind of...
No, I think we've showcased, really what the product can do, and now it's really up to individuals to take their 3D models and kind of see how it works for them.
Okay, awesome. So, John, I seem to recall that you and I met. Was it about 2 years ago?
It was, I think, Atlanta VR Day.
And you were giving a demonstration, and I was looking at it. I said, "Okay, I'm a Matterport service provider. You got this thing." And my original thinking was, oh, well, how do you convert the models, Matterport spaces, and we got object files, and and we can convert it to a Sketchup file or Revit file and bring it into your platform. And then all of a sudden I had this aha moment and said, no. It's not about Matterport going into VCAD. It's really about CAD files for pre-built, unbuilt, pre-reality spaces. And as soon as I realized what it was that you had and what you were demoing, I went, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And I continue to be that excited for the We Get Around Network Forum community. Is about 10,000 Matterport pros, Google Street View pros, 3D, VR, 360 related people. And so what struck me about your platform initially was, I think, probably three things. One, it was a self-service platform. I'm old enough to remember pumping my gas, and I think that's kind of the analogy. Today, no one pumps their gas. It's self-service. And I think in this world of CAD, if I wanted to do anything like what you have been showing, I would have had to gone to a specialty company and say, here's my file. And then, sometime later, they would come back to me and say, good news, you can now view it in this app on this tablet or whatever. And I think what VCAD did was to say, we want to make it easy, fast, and simple to take a CAD file in formats like SketchUp or Revit or whatever somebody is using, and then let them upload the model and have it process in the cloud and deliver the model back to them. And so the first thing that I thought was really, really magical was this whole self-service ability. And I'll speak to why I think that matters a lot for our community. But I think that first, struck me was, wow, self-service going from CAD to a conversion to a smartphone, tablet, laptop, desktop, and virtual reality. That was the first thing that was magical. The second thing that kind of struck me is that as soon as you have a self-service platform, that it enables someone perhaps like me as a Matterport service provider or whatever to say, oh, wow, I don't really need to engage a company to do file conversions. That's what VCAD does. It converts it. And so I think this kind of the second thing is I think about is, this has happened to me. I go in and meet with a multi-family property management company. And, here in Atlanta, a company, for example, they manage 50 properties in multiple states. and I come in and I'm talking to them about doing Matterport of existing properties, and they turn around and say, well, we're good so far on where we are on existing spaces. We got all our marketing tools. How about you come back in 18 months when the new project comes online? And that's, I think, is a magical moment for the We Get Around Network community, because we don't have to come back in 18 months. We just have to say, oh, we can help you today. We can create, what we've been showing you, a 3D model of a real space. We can create 3D models to help with pre-sales of your space so that you can sell your units faster, generate your cash sooner, and dramatically reduce your marketing expenses anywhere from, I think on your website you point this out, John, is if you're a multifamily and you're building out 100 homes in a community, you start building the 5 models to show the 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 2-story, 1-story, or whatever. You may be able to even skip that stage if you can pre-sell the homes sooner. And it's like, wow, isn't that amazing? So I think as a whether we're a Matterport service provider, let's think of it, self-employed photographer who hears that from a potential client that says, I love that Matterport stuff. Come back in 18 months and let's do that for the next thing. Now we have an opportunity to say, I can help you today. Your architect likely does the design in Revit. All I need you to do is put that Revit file in a Dropbox, and in, let's call it 10 days, I don't want to promise them overnight because I don't want them to think it's so simple to use VCAD and have it turned around so quickly. So I said, within 2 weeks, I can turn around your model as a 3D model. And now that you have this 3D model, you can begin pre-sales. And so I always think, when you talk about some of your features and benefits, I always like to go back to this, how do you help a client, get more business, get bigger business, get more and bigger business more often. And so I think what you're doing, what VCAD is doing, transcends from a marketing standpoint to be able to help clients generate cash, generate sales faster by helping clients, visualize a space that hasn't been built yet and can make decisions on that. Certainly, in terms of saving cost by reducing building errors, I just think about even our own home when we did some remodeling. Just was at some phase it would have been way easier to have a conversation with before we even started designing, because we would have realized that that some things just weren't possible, even though it was on a floor plan. So we talked about increasing pre-sales, reducing marketing costs. I mean, I think that's huge. If you're talking about staging, physically staging a property, I was chatting with a Matterport service provider yesterday in the San Francisco area. Said, well, it generally costs that person that shows up and puts real furniture about $2,500 to do that service. And it's like, woo, that just disappeared here in terms of being able to do it all in the design phase in terms of the virtual staging. I talked earlier about eliminating building some, model homes. And then I think you were talking earlier about the collaboration, with kind of clients, vendors, who are not in the same room. You can have an architect that's in Knoxville, Tennessee, and a client that's in Atlanta, Georgia, and we can all be seeing the same screen. So we're having a common. I'm not holding up my phone trying to explain what I'm looking at. You actually, as I move my screen, you're seeing what I'm looking at, and we can have a conversation about it. So, I think that's amazing. I think one of the things you haven't demonstrated, maybe why I'm yakking, you can call it up on your screen, is to say take a 3D model and pull up Google Earth and put it anywhere on the planet. Maybe is that something you can call up?
That's something we can do. I'll also go back to We talk about the value proposition, for people trying to now pre-sell units is also, you can say it's a virtual reality. On top of making it convertible, shareable, and distributable to that cell phone, you can actually sell that you're kind of reaching that younger buyer with millennials by at least saying, and it's capable of making your cell phone see it in virtual reality. And we're seeing that while it may not be that meat and potato experience, that is what is bringing people to that experience, is that option.
Yeah. So maybe you can find on your screen, if you don't mind, I'll keep talking, but as I recall a piece in your presentation where you had a three-dimensional model and you had Google Earth and you showed how that model would look in that spot. So that second thing that I could visualize when we were talking at that Atlanta virtual reality trade show was, oh, I don't have to wait 18 months to have a conversation with a property manager that's got 2 or 3 properties in development. I can have that conversation with them today. I don't have to think all I offer is three-dimensional models of real spaces today. Now, this completely complements to say, I can help you with 3D models through this, whatever we want to call it, whether it's pre-built, unbuilt, pre-reality, or once it's reality. And then I think the third thing that I saw when we were first chatting, it seems like a couple of years ago, and I was just like so eager to have you as part of the We Get Around Network Forum community, was the virtual reality piece. Because I know when you're using your keyboard, and I know it still may be a little bit of the future and but I can tell you, if I tell somebody, hey, I want to give you a virtual reality demonstration, enough people have heard of virtual reality, but they haven't necessarily tried it. So often, even with Matterport, this is a conversation about getting in the door to have a conversation. Let me show you what this stuff looks like in virtual reality. Okay, fine. That's not for you today. I just want to let you know that everything we're doing is virtual reality capable. So now let's talk about smartphones, tablets, laptops, and desktops. Because I know the first question they're going to ask me is how many people have VR viewers today? Okay. So we're not going to have that conversation. We're going to talk about smartphones, tablets, laptops, and desktops. So, that said, what I loved when you were showing things in virtual reality, I don't think of this as being normal typing or typing on a keyboard or using arrows. I thought this was, when I could put your the VCAD model in here and just kind of look where I wanted to look and then press a button essentially to say walk forward, then I thought that was really magical. So I think those 3 things is really what attracted to me, and then to VCAD. And I'm so thrilled to see how much progress that you've made since our initial conversation. I'm glad to see that I could actually see the future of what VCAD was working on. But I think I would just add a couple other things, John. And when we start talking about if you're a Matterport service provider and you got friends and colleagues that are architects, what a wonderful thing to be able to go into an architect friend or colleague or potential new prospect and say, hey, I can help you win the next project by using these tools in a matter-of-fact way to say, well, let us show you the project that we just did and delivered. And matter-of-factly, just showing it to them on the iPhone or an iPad or laptop or desktop or even in the VR and say, oh, by the way, these are the tools that we use to collaborate together because we want to make sure that we optimize the design and build process so that we're not doing change orders that take time and extra money, because we want you to be able to visualize the space before we start the construction. And I would imagine that you already have architects that are giving you feedback to say, wow, I'm getting new business as a result of, first we wanted to use this for pre-visualization for our clients to show them, but then we started to take in our finished work in order to show what we did to the next client. And the next client looked at it and said, wow, I don't have any other architects that are showing me their work like this. I love this, and I love the idea of being able to collaborate.
We have a quote on our website from one of our clients, and the quote, it's verbatim on the website, but it's basically, when he shows his clients projects in VR, he wins the business. and that's using Google Cardboard VR, not high-end, Vive with big PCs. He's talking about when he can just walk his client through the project in VR. They're more comfortable. They feel like they've already seen it. We're seeing that story also differently with real estate developers, where a client's going to buy what they can see, and they're going to buy what they can experience. And so often we've heard the story a few times now where they come in with a 2D drawing of what they think they want, but then when they see like a model home or a Matterport scan, they end up buying what it is they can see, because that's from a risk standpoint, it's more comfortable for them. And so products like ours, and our product in particular, can help people now buy the house they want based on the design, because now they're able to experience it and see it prior to actually kind of
Yes.
built.
Yes, and I know that, while we do have architects and engineers and people in construction and, so forth in the We Get Around Network Forum community, by and large, it's been photographers taking pictures of real spaces, three-dimensional models. And, I think that the takeaway that I would, I'd love to, I don't even know how to keep emphasizing this, to say, if you're only shooting 3D, never mind the drone and the still pictures and the floor plans and the virtual staging, etc., you're talking about stuff for real spaces. VCAD gives you the half of the pie that you're missing, which is all the spaces that haven't yet been built. And if you can help clients make more money sooner, get bigger projects, and do that more often, then now you have a toolbox that has, oh yes, we can help you with real spaces, or we can help you with your spaces that haven't yet been built. And I just think that that's like so mind expanding for our community, that I'm so eager for members to take advantage of VCAD, because it will help photographers make more money by offering solutions first to existing clients like multifamily apartments, multifamily communities, property management companies, that are building stuff today that have Revit files. And, I think the important thing, I think one of those important takeaways looking at what you were doing even almost 2 years ago was, there's a lot of magic that you do that I don't have to understand, which is, if I'm geeky, but I'm not a tech, but if you say, Dan, I just need to have a SketchUp file that ends in .skp. If you get or .rvt for a Revit file, and you can get your client to put that in a Dropbox, then I think what we serve, this is a self-service process. You just upload the file, and some magic takes place in the cloud, and then at some time later the model is delivered to you. And to me, that's you've created magic that empower people, Matterport service providers, Google Street View photographers, 3D photographers, 360 photographers, to say, you have something else. You don't have to do this yourself. You have a solution in the cloud that empowers you to address an entirely additional market.
I mean, you've nailed it, right? We're trying to keep it simple, right? Make the upload process as easy as possible. We like to say it's one click. In reality, it's probably three. But 3 clicks is not bad to all of a sudden have that model magically convert and land on your phone ready to view. We're finding if you are that techie person and you're really savvy with computer programming, there's a lot of things that we're doing that you can do yourself. But that's really not, if you want to do it yourself, that really, we're not the product for you. There's lots of ways to be that ultra advanced person. But we're trying to, the navigation, the cloud distribution, the sharing, screen sharing itself, broadcasting from a phone, all these things we're trying to kind of demystify, and really, you said it, kind of hide the complexity. And as long as you know the room name you want to join, as long as you know the email of the person you want to share with, As long as you know where your file is at, you can upload it, and we're trying to make it ultra simple.
Yeah, I mean, you have a PhD in this stuff. Your title is Chief Technology Officer. I mean, I could try to have a whole separate conversation to understand what it is you do. Never in a million years will I comprehend, but forgive me, but it's not that important to me. All I want to know is there's a self-service platform that puts me in control of, it's not hard to say to a client, well, just have your architect put your Revit file in a Dropbox and we'll take it from there. And that was an easy conversation. I didn't even have to know anything to say that. And then all of a sudden I got the file. Okay, now I saw the platform, boom, I can try it for 30 days. Not going to cost me anything. And then I can upload that file and then turn around and have a model. And then I can, whether I keep it private or public, share it with the client. And oh, by the way, when the client's looking at it, I can see what the client's looking at while they're looking at it. If I choose to share it, remotely, so anyway, there were 2 slides you were going to show. Were you able to find the Google Earth mashed up?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. So let me turn on screen share here. I'm going to take over the desktop. So do you see a Google Earth now?
I see a map of the United States.
All right, great. So on the upload page itself, what you would do is actually say SkySphere image. So if you want to put this model inside of an image bubble, right, a 360 shot, we actually have 2 options for you. One is to upload your own panorama shot, and the other is a Google Street View link. So if you have a 360 camera, a Matterport camera, I think a few months ago, Matterport turned on the ability to export any 360 shot out of their system, and you download it. So if you have that, if you have your own 360 camera differently, that any image, you can actually paste that image in, and that will surround your model with that image. But we're going to show, a lot of people don't have those cameras. They don't have that panoramic camera. So we're going to just say, but we do have a Google Street View. So we talked a lot about Athens, right? Why don't we go to, why don't we put in Athens, we say Greece. We'll go to Athens, Greece, and we will find a nice little street view somewhere. I'll just go there. Not a great spot in Greece, but we want to let's find something a little bit different.
I think I've been by there.
Have you? Have you? Let's go to the
top of the Acropolis, right? We'll put it right up on top.
We'll go to the Olympic Hotel here. So how about this is a little bit more Greece-like?
Oh yes, yeah, that looks great.
So what we're going to do is we're going to put our tiny home into the temple of Olympian Zeus, according to what Google's telling me here. And so these sky spheres are actually decoupled from the model. So one sky sphere can be entered into any model and you can swap them out at any time. But all you need to do actually is take that link and copy it. And then you can see down here when I selected Google Street View, it gave me this paste Street View URL, and I just paste it. Yeah. So now here is that link, and I don't think I named it, but that's okay. So now it's going to upload and process. So if I went back to, I think I did too much too fast. But if I go back to now my model, let me start that one over again, just in case I don't think I'll let it finish.
That's all right. Focus on that a moment. Hey, y'all, if you're just tuning in, you're watching WGAN-TV live at 5. Our guest today, ImmersaCAD CTO Jon Huber. He's been taking us through 2 platforms, the VCAD platform, which is available today, commercially available today, and something that's coming hopefully March 2018 is Home Designer, a platform that lets you that lets the user change the environment, whether it's the floor covering, the wall coverings, the furniture, etc. So that's very exciting. And if you tuned in late and you missed any portion of the program today, we are recording it, and you'll find the recording in the We Get Around Network forum. Just use the search box to search on VCAD, VCAD. John, did I stall enough for you there?
That was great. Yeah, thank you. I was actually more focused on my upload. So it is, if you see here in the link, it's processing. So what it's doing is taking that image and it's kind of building it into that. It's building like an environment sphere to be dropped in.
Great. So maybe you'll share a link with me afterwards. We'll eventually get that into the forum so people can see. But I think the amazing thing about what this step is doing is to say, hey, you know, the property management company, the architect, they're designing a building for a particular location. How better to present the building than to put it to mash up the pre-reality, the soon-to-be reality, with reality in a mashup that lets you visualize the home, the commercial space in a real space.
Yeah, so it finished processing. So I named it Temple of Zeus just to make it that. And so now in projects, I go back to my settings, and I can now actually see that it's in my drop-down list here, Temple of Zeus. And now when I update, it's going to be there. I will show you that I've actually, we've done this also for this property. I'll let that load. I'll let both these things load, actually. I'm loading it up in the app, actually. We'll just go straight to the app and do it. Let's see here. We picked a high quality. We picked a too high quality. It didn't work. We did a live demo and we failed, Dan.
So had it worked, what we would have seen is the house in the temple of Olympian Zeus. And how magical is that with the Google Earth, Google Maps, that you can do this. So
it is limited to 40 by 90 or 4096 by 4096 pixel size. So we must have picked an image that was larger than that. Well, you know, we are playing without a net here in the internet space, but we will put one close. I'll send a link and you can put it up there, and we'll share this link with everybody in sight.
Great. So take me to one last thing. Is you had a slide of Matterport in 360. You wanted to ask me some questions. Let's take a look at that, and we'll finish up with that.
Sure.
My initial reaction of you doing a Matterport versus VCAD is, why? I view Matterport for real spaces, and I view VCAD for spaces that haven't been built yet. Am I missing something of why you would want to even try to compare the two?
Well, there are some people in the middle that we're running into, and so because Matterport's the mainstream solution, and because people are used to Matterport, we are being compared to them, even though you're right, the products are very, very different. But if you are a real estate developer and you're building, both spec homes and custom homes, you may have a Matterport scan of your spec homes already. And so you're comfortable with Matterport. And so one of the things that we've been messaging with is people that are used to that pricing. And so I think what we're showing is once you start having options and once you have that 3D model, there really isn't much of a comparison.
Yeah, I personally, I wouldn't do the comparison, and I hear what you're describing. I would look at it to say, this is yin and yang. This is, they perfectly, if I'm talking to you today about, I'm visiting with a property management company, and they got 50 properties, 2 of which that are about to come online. If the construction's finished, I'd say let's shoot it with Matterport, or let's shoot it with some other 3D solution. If the project has not broken ground yet, then I'd want to talk VCAD. So I don't see this gray area. Now, maybe you as VCAD, you're trying to make a sale in this Matterport world, but frankly, I think the ocean is so large that I would want to talk about VCAD for spaces that haven't been built yet, and Matterport for spaces that have been built yet. Now, I understand you might say, well, but we could still do the VCAD for spaces that actually already exist. I think that's a little bit of swimming upstream, and I wouldn't attempt to, even if I was you, John, I wouldn't attempt to compete on Matterport, if somebody is happy with Matterport, I think the answer is, hey, great to see that you're using 3D modeling as a visual storytelling tool to help you sell your properties faster for the most money with the least amount of stress. Oh, by the way, do you have any properties that you have that are still in the architect's mind, that you haven't broken ground? So I'd want to completely shift the I'd want to say, congratulations, that's great. Love that you've gotten involved in new technology. Let us show you what VCAD can do to help you, that can help you with I'm struggling for the word you use, not pre-built, unbuilt,
Oh,
pre-reality.
yeah. Pre-reality. See it before you can build it.
Let's help you with pre-reality. And I would just keep those completely separate, because I think when you're talking to someone that's using Matterport, I think it's actually, John, I think it's actually when we first visited over 2 years ago, I was trying to think about, well, how does Matterport fit into this? And I said, well, I can export an object file. We can convert that to a SketchUp file. We can bring it into VCAD. And the textures are going to look horrible. Like, well, why would I want to do that? Okay, so really, the epiphany is that I think it's way easier for people to categorize and say, we can help you with pre-built spaces and we can help you with built spaces. And if you want to leverage the Matterport service provider community, then I would say, don't try and show slides that compete and compare. I would say, let those two worlds be separate, and let a potential salesperson for you, a Matterport service provider, clearly be able to make the decision to say, hey, we can help you with your spaces that exist today, and we can help you with your spaces that haven't been built yet, rather than trying to say, oh, by the way, we can do the unbuilt version of the technology for a space that's already built, and here's how we compare on cost. And I mean, gee, I've been doing this since July of 2014, and my mind still couldn't get around this slide that you're showing me, trying to do a cost comparison, because I just don't see it as a versus, as 3D models versus 360 photos. I completely see this as VCAD is a solution that makes it easy, fast, and simple to view and share 3D models of spaces that don't exist yet, and I can share them on smartphones, tablets, laptops, and desktops, and virtual reality. And that's a much simpler concept for me to understand, for someone that's using Matterport to understand, and for a Matterport service provider or a Google Street View photographer to get their hands around. Now, do you want to push back on anything I just said about that slide?
No, I mean, I knew showing you're kind of, your 360 photos of your world. So I was curious how this would play against you. So I got feedback. So I appreciate what you've done. I guess for me, with VCAD the way it is today, each upload is a unique stage. And so for us, there is a little bit of a comparison there. Now, once we have this home designer app in the world, suddenly that one CAD file becomes the infinite options within it. And that to me is, I guess, really almost an internal a slide that compares the way we're having to upload each configuration one at a time. So that would be the comparison to like the reality of 360. But yeah. I totally agree with where you're coming from.
I'm sorry. I would just say, blow up that slide and get rid of it, because you got to simplify your marketing message to really say, we perfectly complement 3D photography for existing spaces. We just help when there are spaces that haven't been built yet. And if some client raises their hand and actually says, gee, I noticed the cost of doing these VCAD things turns out to be, less than Matterport, and they come to that conclusion, is fine. But I think it's just confusing the messaging, either on your marketing, on your sales, on look how much time we've just spent talking about something that I think is irrelevant. I don't see 3D models, or Matterport in particular, or Google Street View in particular, competing with a model of a space that hasn't been built yet. I really do see those as two separate conversations, and I think that's part of the qualifier of whether it's VCAD walking in, or me as we get around Atlanta walking into a client to say, hey, just want to see how we can help you today. Do you have any properties that exist today that you need help selling them faster for the most money with the least amount of stress, and be able to market outside of Atlanta, or around the globe. And if they come back and say, nah, but we really do want some help with the two new things we have coming online 18 months from now, I completely want to switch my discussion and say, that's great. Just like I've been showing you this Matterport stuff, we do these 3D models. We can do that for your unbuilt space. Would you like that? Would that help? Do you think that would help you sell out your property faster, to do pre-sales, to be able to make more money sooner? And I think I'm also reluctant to even go into that, to say and this will help optimize the design and build process, because you know what? Generally, I'm talking to the person who's marketing and sales. We live in a world of silos, John, and unless we have all those silos represented at the table, I got to switch my messaging to say, am I talking with the architect? Am I talking with the builder? Am I talking with marketing? Am I talking with sales? And I think you got to change your messaging based on who that audience is. Because frankly, I'd like to think that if I'm meeting with the vice president or senior vice president of marketing or sales for a very large project, that I could say, hey, this is going to reduce your design and build process. It's going to reduce the number of errors made. It's going to help you finish the project sooner. That person is likely to say to me, sorry, Dan, that's somebody else's responsibility in my company. All I care about is selling my properties, less days on market for the most amount of money. Nothing else matters. So I have to focus my marketing message to 1, 2, or 3 points that relates to them. The good news, if they eventually say yes, then it's possible to say, hey, oh, by the way, you might want to show this to your architect, and here's why, or you might want to show it to your general contractor, and here's why. And so I think you got to get in the door first with one marketing message. And I would say, if I'm sitting here and say, who am I going to go see today for a new business? Do I want to talk about, helping the design and build process and save money? Do I want to help the pre-visualization for the building of the space? No, I want to be as close to the wallet as possible. I want to go where the money is, and the money is sales. And if we can show someone who's in charge of sales or marketing how we can help them sell a space faster for the most money with the least amount of stress and open up new markets, then that's where I would focus my discussion. And even though all those other talking points are great and they're valid points, they're valid for a different audience. And it's rare that you're talking to someone who actually wears the hat of all those different constituencies, because we do live in a siloed world where departments are separate. Not to say that they should be like that, but that's just the reality, particularly as you get in large companies. Anyway, I've been yakking for a while. If you wanted to.
So that's very helpful. Speaking of help, I'll say I'm going to show our website again really fast, because we have, if you do run into problems like I ran into on this upload, we actually have this ability to communicate with us directly. Let me just go ahead and get on help. So if you do have problems, and so our help team saw me struggle today uploading a SkySphere, and they've let me know that if you it only works with USA SkySpheres.
There you go. Okay.
But once again, if you have any problems, all you really need to do is click on a help. You can see my screen here on the bottom, this help, you can just type in your name, your email, and what your question is, and you're actually going to get to a person within the company that can help you kind of get that problem solved. So there's an upload issue, a communication issue, a sharing issue, whatever it is you're struggling with, we can kind of help you kind of get off the ground.
Okay, sounds great. Let me wrap it up. Maybe you can take us off screen sharing.
Sure.
And um, and uh, again, we've been visiting with ImmersaCAD Chief Technology Officer Jon Huber. The product or service is called VCAD. That's VCAD. Website is vcad.com. We did also have a chance to get kind of a sneak preview of Home Designer. Hopefully that'll be out in March 2018. Very exciting product solution. John, I want to do a little selfie here. Maybe get like both thumbs ups. We'll have a little screen grab. Two thumbs up. Two thumbs up. Two thumbs up. We'll have a. Let's see. Am I doing that right? Okay. No, we both have to do the same thing. Now we got a good screen grab to save for the video. And I thank you so much for visiting. This has really been awesome, John. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for your time.
Thank you. So thank you all for tuning in. You've been watching WGAN TV live at 5 on Thursday, January 4th, 2018. We're going to, if you missed any portion of the video, we're going to publish it by tomorrow in the We Get Around Network forum. Just search for VCAD in order to catch the full presentation. So thanks again for tuning in. WGAN TV live at 5 from Knoxville, Tennessee, and from Atlanta, Georgia. So, John, thank you so much. We've ended our broadcast in the We Get Around Network forum. We're still live in YouTube. I just want to wish you a happy new year. It's good to see you. Enjoyed visiting with you. Thanks to your team that I know have kind of helping on the sidelines. I know we had a number of people that were tuned into the virtual studio audience. I asked if anyone had a question to ask. Nobody wanted to go on screen to ask a question, but
okay.
Yeah.
I'll be down for VR Day, I think January 31st. So I'll be in Atlanta for that, and hopefully I'll see you then.
Awesome. Please remind me so that we make plans to get together. That would be way cool.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll do that.
All right. Thanks, John. Good to see you. Okay. Bye-bye.